Hi friends. So I just had some lab work done and I thought I would go over it briefly. A couple of things. Normally I go through my primary care and I have my labs drawn at our local lab here in town. But I had a really big gift certificate for Own Your Own Labs that I won when I was in Las Vegas in March. So I wanted to use that. I want to talk about that process. I did a little bit of a live on my way back from the lab last Monday. The company Own Your Own Labs is great. They're great to work with. They're a good company. But there is some buyer beware that you need to know. They use Own Your Own Labs puts the orders through. So they have a doctor, you put in what you want, you pay them, and then they have the doctor's name that is on the lab sheet because it has to be ordered by a doctor. So that's all fine and dandy. That's great. Okay. Where the buyer beware comes in is that the lab company that they use is LabCorp. I am not fond of LabCorp at all. So at our doctor's office, don't mind the children singing in the background. At our doctor's office, they have a lab right there. That lab is staffed by LabCorp. So they have a LabCorp employee that works there. Now that LabCorp is only for that clinic's patients. That was my first interaction with LabCorp was over the past year or so because we had gotten our labs done there. It takes them forever and a day to get the labs back. And if you have multiple labs run, they don't send them all to the doctor to be uploaded until all of the results are in, which is just ridiculous. So sometimes you're waiting like 2 weeks. It's just, if you need time sensitive stuff, don't go to LabCorp. Just don't. So when my primary care would call in labs, I'd just be like, I don't want to go to LabCorp. Just send me to Bellin. So Bellin would do. I'd have my labs back, most of them within 24 hours, and they would send the results as they came in. And there was only one that ever took 3 days, and that's the reverse T3 that takes a little bit longer. So yeah, the only reason that I went to LabCorp last Monday was because I had that gift card. So I did it through Own Your Own Labs. Before you order anything through Own Your Own Labs or any of those lab companies, first find out who they use. Most of them use LabCorp. And then verify where there is a location. I had to drive 2 hours. So if I wouldn't have that gift card, no way was I going to waste 2 hours to go there. Their computer was down and had been down. All of LabCorp's computers had been down for over a week. So I was sitting there like, the lab tech had to handwrite everything on the vials. I wasn't even sure I was going to get my labs, to be quite honest. A week goes by, still nothing. Now I'm trying to get an appointment with my primary care to go over these labs. And finally I emailed them. I'm like, look, with the computers being down, I don't even know if my labs really got run. So what's the deal? Magically, this morning, because I emailed them last night, magically this morning, my labs were all ready. So fine. Just buyer beware. If you go on to Own Your Own Labs, Or even you can order the test right through LabCorp too. Or if there's any of these other like Quest or whatever, a lot of them, like I said, use LabCorp. Once you pay, there's no refunds. So if you order tests and you're like, oh, this is great, this is on sale, because they do run sales, and you're like, this is great. So, maybe you order $50, $60, $70 of tests that either your insurance won't pay for, or your doctor won't run, or you just want to know these numbers because you understand labs. You order them, you pay for them, then you go to set up your appointment, only to find out that the closest place is 2 or 3 hours away. You're, pardon my French, screwed. You're not going to get a refund. So just, if you got a place that's close, that's great. In our area, there's not. So, hi. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I hope you're enjoying the content. If you are, please be sure to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. Also, just to help the YouTube analytics, if you can play the video all the way through to the end, even if you're not watching it, it just helps YouTube know that my content is helpful to people, and that will help me grow my channel. Now we'll get back to the video. Got the labs back. Had a nice visit with my primary care. I know I haven't posted a lot about my thyroid, but I have my first thyroid video because I've been struggling with my thyroid. So, and I really just felt like I know I've been struggling with this for quite a while. And so, over the last few tests, over the past year, we've really found out that I wasn't converting my T4 into T3. So I had really high reverse T3. It's basically fake T3. It sits on the receptors, but it doesn't do anything. It's like putting the wrong key into a lock because it fits, but it won't turn it. So there's like no reason really to have high reverse T3 unless you've got some sort of issue. Some of it can be, diet related and whatnot. Mine, I don't think was. Mine, I just have had a lot of issues for quite some time. I've really been struggling with getting to my ideal weight, and it's not even the weight because I really don't pay attention to the scale. Getting to my ideal measurements is what I should say. At the end of 2019 and through 2020, I put some inches back on, and I have not been able to get them off no matter what I do. And that's what led me down the thyroid path, because that and some other things, like I had the really dry skin, I had the constipation, no matter how much fat or sodium that I had. My hair was just a mess. I had all the hypothyroid signs. And so, sure enough, the test bared that out. It matched my symptoms. So I'm on Armor, which will now be switched to NP Thyroid because my insurance doesn't pay for Armor anymore, but whatever, it's all basically the same. And that really wasn't doing anything. We had to keep increasing the dose, and I really didn't want to keep increasing the dose. But we had to keep increasing the dose. And then I really started studying iodine. And in December of last year, I think, or maybe it was January, I think it was December, November, December, I started increasing my iodine from 2 drops of 2%. Because I read the Iodine Crisis book, and then I poured through Dr. Brownstein's iodine book and his thyroid book and all of his iodine work and all the papers and everything that were both in Lynn Farrow's Iodine Crisis book and everything that Dr. Brownstein had put that he had gotten his research from. So I poured through all of that. And I realized that low iodine can actually mimic hypothyroid. And so I started increasing my iodine, and as I got up into the 40 milligram range, that's when things really started getting better symptom wise with my thyroid. So we didn't have to, I didn't have to increase my medicine. My primary care, she's a great functional medicine practitioner. She had actually left my clinic, so I was waiting for her to get established as a private practice. And so the last time that I actually had my labs done was in November, but I was feeling so good that I just stayed that way, and I had enough we had worked it out that I had enough prescription of my Armor to get me through until she was going to be established. So, but in the meantime, I'm feeling great, but I am still not getting rid of this flub around my middle. And just driving me nuts. I'm doing everything that I tell my coaching clients to do, and they're getting results. And while I'm feeling great, this is just stubborn and stuck, and there's nothing. And so it was really like getting to me. And I had heard a couple talks on hormones, and I know this, but I didn't, sometimes we help other people and we don't look and say, I know this, why am I not using it for myself? So back in January of 2023, this is another LabCorp beef. So my primary care, my functional med gal, she had ordered a sex hormone panel. Well, of course, we went through LabCorp because I didn't know that we could go to a different lab, and that was what was at the clinic. Yeah, they just ran whatever the heck they wanted, didn't run everything that she wanted. And so the ball kind of got dropped on that. The estradiol wasn't run. So we didn't have any progesterone number. We didn't have any of those numbers. It was right in her orders, and they just didn't do it. Whatever. At least I wasn't billed for it, or my insurance wasn't billed for it anyway. So for women, especially, there are things that your body just is not going to lose the weight or fully heal if your hormones are not right. And when you start hitting the 40s and the 50s, your progesterone and estrogen can really get out of whack, and that can just it can wreak havoc. You can be metabolically healthy, which I am. I'm metabolically healthy. My A1C is 5. My fasting glucose was 90. My HDL was a little bit lower than it was last time I had it measured, but it was still up in the high 70s. My triglycerides were low. My LDL had actually come down, which I attribute to having my thyroid getting more in function. So I'm very metabolically healthy. I just can't get rid of the belly fat, which is typical for a woman when their hormones get messed up. And so the more that I was studying it, I was like, I have got to be either low on progesterone or very high on estrogen. So I ordered these labs myself, and I ran them. Well, I didn't run them. LabCorp ran them, but you know what I mean. And I had to do it at a certain time in my cycle, because there's only a window, where you can get the proper, estrogen and progesterone where they're both at their peaks so that you can get the good, ratio. And as soon as I looked at the labs this morning, I was like, oh, yep, I'm estrogen dominant. So I figured out the ratio, and then had my appointment with my PCP today, and we went over my labs, and she fully agreed. Like, my estrogen is so high up, and my progesterone, even though it's in the normal range, it's on the really low end of optimal. But because there's such a big difference between the estrogen and the progesterone, we need to bring them back into balance. They're just too far out of balance. My testosterone is again within that optimal range, but it's really at the lower end. So my thyroid, everything kind of stabilized, stayed the same. My THS actually came down a little bit, which was good. It's real close to just the 1.0 mark. My free T3 came down a little bit, but my reverse T3 really came down. And I attribute that to my taking the more iodine. So we decided we should probably tweak something with my thyroid, but because I'm feeling good, it's not all about labs when it comes to thyroid. It's really not. So we're going to leave it. And because I kind of got it honed in between the dosage of the thyroid and the iodine, kind of have it in that sweet spot. And I feel good. So we really want to hit that progesterone. So we're going to do a testosterone cream, and then I'm going to use a bioidentical progesterone. And the reason I'm telling you this is because so often we just hear keto harder, carnivore harder. You must not be doing something right. You're not, I've only got I don't even know. Going by the scale, there's about 20 pounds left that I want to lose. But it's not the weight. It's around the middle. I can have some influencers, well, you're not eating enough protein. You're eating too much fat. You're not eating enough fat. You're eating too often. You use allulose. That must be your issue. Your sleep's not good. You don't ground. You don't get out in the sun enough. Yeah, all those things are great and need to be looked at, but it's a hormone issue. And especially for women, sometimes we need to say, I have done everything that I can do. And now I need a healthcare partner that is going to help me figure out my hormones, because I can't carnivore harder. I can't keto harder. Sorry, the glare in my glasses is just driving me nuts. We'll just do that. Then I won't see the glare in my glasses. It'll be fine. We can't always carnivore harder. Sometimes, and this is where I really get a little bit frustrated in this space, is when you hear, well, you don't need supplements. All you need to do is eat steak, and it's gonna fix the world. You can fly to the moon if you eat steak. There is a time and a place for hormone replacements, be it thyroid, insulin, if you're type 1 diabetic, obviously, or you're going to die. And for men, sometimes they need to take testosterone, at least until they start fixing things. You can naturally raise testosterone. But if your testosterone is in the tank, you aren't going to have the energy to get off the couch and lift heavy things, which is what you need to do to raise the testosterone. And for a woman who, for whatever reason, your hormones are out of balance, you can't eat steak to fix that. Yes, maybe over time, really increasing the fat or whatever, but in the meantime, everything's still staying bad and wonky. Taking a bioidentical hormone or a desiccated thyroid or insulin because you're type 1 diabetic does not make you weak. It does not mean you failed. It does not mean carnivore failed you or keto failed you. It doesn't mean any of that. It means there's a time and a place for those things. Just like there's a time and a place for supplements. We use Neolife. We love Neolife. Since going very clean, keto/carnivore, since changing our lifestyle that way, we use way less Neolife, way less supplements, because you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. You just can't. But there are still some things that we need. Our food, be it steak, or if you're keto and you're eating some vegetables or whatever, still, because we have ruined everything, it's still lacking some things for some people. I have clients that have to take digestive enzymes, and we use them through Neolife. Why? Because their digestion got so wrecked on a previous diet that now they have to take this, and it might only be for a little bit, or it might be for a long bit. You know, if I've got someone that was on statins for a long time, and now they're off them, they may need to supplement with CoQ10 because statins wipe out your CoQ10. Well, Neolife has that. So there are times and places for supplements, and the people that sit there and say, all you need to do is eat steak, all you need to do is eat meat, and if things don't get better, if you don't lose that weight, it's your fault. You're just not doing it right. You're not doing it hard enough. You're not eating enough. You're under eating. Oh, you're overeating. Oh, you're not getting enough calories. You have to be in a calorie deficit. Or you have to be in an energy deficit, which means you need to eat lower fat and higher protein. Well, for some people, yeah, they might want to have their protein a little bit higher than their fat. Everyone has to monkey around with their own macros. But it just really, really makes me crazy when you get people who think they know more than what they actually know. Oh, you don't need to track anything. You don't need to count anything. Just eat meat. You don't need to worry about your macros. Well, yeah, for some people, they don't. But some people do. Not everyone is the same. And you can't treat everyone the same. And if I'm coming here telling you, look, my hormones are screwed up. I don't know why they're screwed up, but they're screwed up. And now I need help with them. There's no shame in that. So if you're in that situation, or you're just like, Sherry, where do I start? I think I'm under eating. I'm low on energy. Help me figure my macros out. Yeah, we always want to start there. But if we have done everything and we have reached everything in our tool belt, then we might need to reach into a toolbox, join hands with a good practitioner, and figure some things out because there might be something deeper going on. And It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that I did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that if I'm coaching you and you end up having to go to a doctor and get replacement, hormone replacement or thyroid or something, it does not mean that either one of us did anything wrong. It means that we're broken people, and as much as we want diet to be the end-all be-all, which it should, and if we lived in a utopia, it would be, sometimes we need more. And sometimes it may be a forever more, and sometimes it may be a temporary more, where you just need it to help your body go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then it fixes itself. So that's where I'm at. I am tired of trying to keep fighting my body, and my hormone panels clearly cemented what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I can't control my progesterone or my estrogen. I've done everything that I can do. So I'm going to take this route, and I'm going to get myself better and feeling better in my body. And I'm going to be okay with it. And I'm going to keep eating my steak and my ground beef and my eggs and my bacon and my butter and all that yummy stuff. But I'm going to keep fixing my thyroid. And I'm going to fix my sex hormones, my girly hormones. And I'm just going to feel better. And we'll see where it goes. So if you don't have a doctor that's going to work with you or learn from you or take your hand and be your partner, then find a different doctor. Because I'm not a doctor. I can help you get started. I can even help a little bit with like labs, or hey, maybe your doctor needs to run these labs. But I, as a coach, can only do so much. And then you need to go to your doctor. If you don't have one that's going to run the labs or anything like that, I've got connections. I can hook you up to a couple functional medicine practitioners. Obviously, it's not going to be covered under insurance, but they can read labs. They can order labs. They can do all that for you and help you with that. I work very closely with them, and they're good friends. So if you need something like that, I can always point you in their direction. So yeah, that's my story. And I just wanted to let you know where I am. My thyroid's doing good. I'm really happy with how all of that is coming. I was a little bummed that the numbers weren't a little better because I was hoping to be able to cut back. But I didn't have to increase, and I'm still on a really moderately low dose, so I'm not really all that sad. Who knows how long I've had these thyroid issues, because I swear I've been like this for years and years and years, and I asked my doctor and all they ever ran was the THS. So, I mean the TSH. It's getting late. So, yeah, it kind of got dark. I was sitting outside and now the sun just went down. So I will end this, but my whole point in all this rambling, and thank you for sticking with me, is sometimes you can't carnivore harder. Want to see something really cool? Okay, look, you can actually see. See all these little hairs? That is all new hair growth, y'all. So exciting. I think that's from my increased protein and my iodine. because my iodine, when I upped that, my hair stopped falling out. I lose a little bit, the normal that you shed, but it had been like just clumps in my shower. And there's no more of that. Iodine. So hit me up if you need to know more about that. But I'm getting little fresh hair growth. It's great. I'm trying to grow my bangs out, and they were they were just kind of a nightmare. I had my hair cut today. So it's getting really dark out here, and I don't want to turn the porch lights on because then the bugs will eat me. So I'm going to end this. Everyone, have a great evening. Keep on ketoing, ketoboring, carnivoring. But if things aren't changing and you're doing everything right, don't keep trying to carnivore harder. Get some labs done and see if there's an underlying cause. With that, we'll talk again soon.